Base is dropped.
It has.
It's a new look. So,
It is.
thanks to you for creating all of the newness and the new look and the new everything here for 2025. And
I mean, it's a new year. You're supposed to do that, right?
I would think.
It's a work in progress, so you'll probably see some things evolve a little bit as you go. John will learn how to do it himself here at some point. He's gonna have to one way or
Oh, I
another.
know. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, one way.
Somebody's gonna have to pay for a producer for us if that's not the case, but we'll figure that out.
Uh-huh. But welcome to 2025. Welcome to the new look, and welcome to the next stages here when it comes to SDH in the morning. John here, Jason putting up with John as we have the new software and things that I walked through a little bit of
Software. We didn't have to have any floppy disks for you, John. No.
well, no, but I'm waiting for brick phones and things like that.
Dios mío.
But no, it's going to be fun, and it'll be unique challenges across the board for me specifically in trying to figure out how things work and things like that. And so yes, blame me specifically for us being on 3.5 minutes late because it was me.
Yes, there was tutorials going on and confusing things happening, and yes, that's how it goes sometimes.
So I know that you started doing the morning espressos for those that want to have their
Yep.
breaking the idea of news coming out just in shorter form than what we do here. So you started
Yeah.
doing that about
Your bite-sized news. If you can't join in, or you can only join in for part of the show, and that's look, that's I think where we're trying to be with SDH. Around the corner from everywhere kind of applies to this as well. There's some of you guys who are hardcore and have the time in the morning and can have it on in the background or be able to drop in and out, but you might miss part of it. And look, there's going to be news that breaks as it always does in the mornings. You got the Old Firm Derby here kicking off in less than an hour, and I'm sure there will be some very dumb things that happen in that game.
Oh yeah.
Because welcome to Scotland. But what I'm trying to do with Morning Espresso is for people who don't have the time to join the whole show or can only join bits and pieces, just the news kind of as I get going. Like, I think it's funny how your patterns evolve over time. When I was a kid, I learned to read from the newspaper. Like, I literally learned how to read from it would have been the Atlanta Constitution at the time, morning sports page.
Transaction section in the back.
Just, yeah, I don't think I read too much of that when I was like 2.5, because I learned to read like 2.5, 3 years old, and it was from the sports page. So like I'm learning to read like Philadelphia and Washington and things like that. Um, I I've I'm not the only kid who is like that. Who I know kids learn to read from El Grafico in Argentina, for example, and it's what you did. Well, now you might not do that. You might, but you might not. So, I kind of evolved then to the newsletters that you get via email and going to check news updated pages and things. And I kind of have my routine. So I was like, you know what? I'm doing this already. It's good for me to keep up with what's going on worldwide as well. A lot of focus on the US, obviously, in Morning Espresso, but a kind of basic catch up as you start your day of maybe what happened overnight, maybe what happened the day before, maybe what to watch for in the day, and trying to keep those at around 10 minutes, about the amount of time that you would enjoy your espresso. It's not always possible when there's a whole bunch of crazy things that go on, but trying to keep it around 10 minutes. And if Barcelona could get the Dani Olmo thing sorted out, then I could definitely keep it under 10 minutes, because that continues to get stupid.
Oh, it's like, well, no, we think we can sign him. We're confident we can sign him. Judge is like, nah, fam, you can't. Oh no, we're confident we can still sign him. Second time around, Judge is like, no, you can't. And so they're still hanging on to that hope of Dani Olmo. It's like,
I
yeah.
know, but it's what I talked about on this edition of the Espresso. Like, I don't think there's any hope left unless there are rules that change. Because according to the Spanish FA, you can't register a player to the same club twice in a year, in a season. And his registration is canceled. It's up. It's gone. He's not on the website anymore. He's gone. So you can't re-register him. And this is what's crazy when you talk about Barcelona and Dani Olmo. They owe him in his contract, which is valid. Like it's the contract between the player and the club. It has nothing to do with the registration side of it. He's owed $50 million,
Mm-hmm.
4 more years, I think. They still owe RB Leipzig $57 million. How much they paid already, but they still owe 57 more dollars in a transfer. They bum rushed the VIP ticket sales to try to pay for this.
Yeah.
And probably gave up, according to reports, about $100 million rush it. So they got about 100 million. They could have got about 200. Their stadium's not even functional yet. That ran over.
Yeah.
So they might end up, if Dani Olmo can walk on a free and sign for wherever because they can't get him registered, they're looking at potentially giving up $250 million because you still got to pay Leipzig for your transfer.
Yeah.
I don't know if your contract can get rescinded or how that part would go. Maybe you get out of that if he signs a new deal elsewhere. But you're not going to get a transfer fee for him if he can walk on a free. He's worth around $60 million.
Yeah.
And you probably gave up $100 million in that VIP sale. I mean, it's stupid. It's so stupid. And they were beyond stupid in not getting their financial situation sorted out to be able to keep, I don't know, maybe their club legend and greatest player of all time in Lionel Messi, and he has to tearfully walk away when they put him in like the ping pong room to say goodbye. They don't even tell Serginho Dest, like, hey, this is a big deal, dress up. He's wearing a basketball jersey to the thing. And Messi is in tears having to walk away because you can't get your money right. And now they've made it worse. Like, it's incredible that this is so dysfunctional. It's so bad. And they haven't learned.
It's long form dysfunctionality.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to the way old days. If you want to really get into dysfunctional, Barcelona's history is completely dysfunctional. They have had some very good fortune, and they've done some really good things too, in terms of having some of the greats of the game wear that shirt. And that has papered over dysfunction.
Yeah.
But that can only go so far. And now you're seeing this could be a catastrophic failure for Barcelona if this all goes down the way that right now it's looking like. It would probably be in the best interests of La Liga and the Spanish FA to find some loophole, which probably exists because welcome to Spain, to allow them out of this. Because, look, Spanish football is based on the Barcelona-Real Madrid rivalry. The whole ecosystem is based on this. This isn't just and La Liga is not like MLS where it is all for one for all. But if you're Alaves, if you're Osasuna, if you're these other clubs, yeah, you're going to have petty rivalries with Madrid and Barcelona, but your overall health is somewhat related to Barcelona and Real Madrid not being a dumpster fire. Real Madrid's not a dumpster fire. They're trying to go get Trent Alexander-Arnold right now. Barcelona's a dumpster fire. And it would behoove Spain FA and La Liga to find some loophole, maybe slide it in, maybe, I don't know, whatever you got to do. And it wouldn't be the first time. No. Find some way to bail them out of this. We'll see if they do it. But Barcelona has painted themselves into a corner of stupidity.
Yes. And the corner of stupidity is probably a hashtag in there somewhere. The court of arbitration for sport popped into my head as another option in all of this.
Oh no, they're already. I think they're engaged in it. I don't know what. Well, Barcelona could probably appeal the La Liga decision. I don't know on what grounds. It wouldn't be the first time that somebody just did something stupid.
Just because.
Yeah, it's crazy. Bart mentions the La Liga spending limitations, which are real. Like they exist. They exist for this sort of reason. So you're not an idiot and spend more money than you can. Somehow Barcelona found a way to try to do it, and now they're bumping their head against that ceiling. I do think, and we talk about salary caps all the time in MLS, and it's coming up in a lot of different moves that are going to happen in this month. But the La Liga situation, it's not really a cap. It is, but it's not for the same reasons. It's for clubs not to spend themselves broke.
Yeah.
Somehow Barcelona's found a way to do this over time because of mismanagement. It's really bad
Yes.
when you have guardrails and you somehow jump them in this situation.
Barcelona is the driving cat of La Liga and guard.
Basically, Barcelona is that bowler when you would show up and they've never bowled before and you put the guardrails up in the gutter to try to help them,
Yeah.
and they're so bad that the ball goes over 2-3 lanes. That's where Barcelona is right now.
I've seen those bowlers.
It's so bad that they jumped the guardrails and now they're in this situation. La Liga tries to prevent. The La Liga spending limitations and cap and whatever, it's not based on parity. It's not, it's actually anti-parity because you can't spend as much as Real Madrid. You literally cannot spend like Real Madrid. They can spend that much because they bring in that much. Barcelona's revenues have fallen so badly that they can't spend that much. And now they're trying to spend more than they can because they're trying to keep up with Real Madrid, and they can't. So La Liga needs to sit down, and probably like most leagues around the world need to sit down and look at this. You're not creating a system that is sustainable, even when you have these kind of guardrails to try to, ensure sustainability. You don't have it because you're going to have clubs that are going to be so far ahead of everybody else, and you know you want to catch them, but you can't. And we see this in England too. Like I can't remember who had the report. It might have been Forbes. It might have been somebody else about the spending in the Championship and League One. I think it even went down to League Two, and who was actually making money year to year. And the answer is nobody.
Yeah.
Because they're all spending more than they're bringing in because they're chasing that promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, you see the clubs that go belly up for this or nearly go belly up and then have to go find somebody to bail them out. And we talk about it a lot with like an Everton who seems like they're going to be okay now. I think Friedkin Group in the mix. I think they're going to be all right. We'll see if they run it well and all the things that come with that. But we've seen it with others who have gone away. And you can say what you want about the MLS structure, but clubs aren't going to fold. Clubs aren't going to go away. Clubs might get sold. You can have moves happen. And yes, I know Columbus fans are still upset about it, although things worked out for the best for them, even if they have to play some games in Cleveland to sell tickets. But that's a whole different topic.
Yep.
Leave that one to the side. Sorry, Crew Nation. But clubs aren't going to go away. Clubs aren't going to spend $50 million on a transfer and then not be able to register the player for the whole year. That's not going to happen in this league. So you got a lot of stuff to sort out around the world in the game, and it's funny in some ways. It's really sad for kids at Barcelona who are fans of that club and don't understand how stupid some of the people that have been running this club are and how many bad decisions they've made. And they don't understand what this is like when their club is maybe going to lose their new favorite player because of incompetence.
Oof. Yeah. So that was in the espresso, at least the shorter version of that.
Yeah, lots of stuff in the espresso. I think it ran about 13 minutes this morning, so it was a little bit bigger cup of espresso. Trying to keep that around 10 minutes. It'll be ideally every morning. There might be a few where you have to go grab an energy drink instead of the espresso, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, but no, it's been fun to see that added to the list of stuff that we do here as we start 2025. And
lots of stuff in 2025 upcoming. Some new content pieces that will be upcoming. Not both, like all the way around. Video, audio, written. You can check out the new website.
yes.
Also, another work in progress, soccerdownhere.net. The look there is getting refined, and things are coming along pretty nicely there. We've got some new events coming up in 2025, and we will very soon have a new way that you can be connected to the SDH network. That will roll out very, very soon.
Yeah. Go to Olive in York and you can get our first ever jersey.
You can get that. I got mine. It's very cool.
Yeah. You can go to our friends with Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. and help out APS.
I got my hoodie, and it is maybe it's not a zip up hoodie. So I know some people get really hung up on it. It's a zip up. Is it a pullover? It's a pullover, but it is the most comfortable sweatshirt that I've had in a long time. I love that sweatshirt, and I think every time I've worn it, somebody has seen it and be like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like soccer fans, not soccer fans.
Yeah.
So go check that out. You can get red or black.
Yeah. We have both actually here in the house.
Ah, very nice.
And since the boss can't wear anything red, she wears the black one.
I got to grab one of the t-shirts for the spring when we get back to decent weather.
Yep. And let's see, our friends at the Marshall Islands, they've got their new 2030 kit out. And I think we're going to have Matt Webb and the communications director and possibly technical director Lloyd Hours on tomorrow at 10 to kind of get out of 2024, get into 2025. That's kind of what tomorrow is going to be. It's going to be the party line kind of deal. Anybody that wants to drop in can drop in, and test limits and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So Marshall Islands, you can get the gear, get the Grady Baby Co. Soccer's just better in Atlanta. Get the red, get the black, get the t-shirt, get the sweatshirt. Soccerdownhere.net. You can get some shopping done there. You can go watch the website. And
there is at soccerdownhere.net. There are a few new items in the store. The old logo things have been retired for now. I'm sure there'll be throwbacks at some point. You know how that goes.
Yes.
But there are a few new things. Not a lot of apparel just yet, but a couple of things. So you can go check that out in the store at soccerdownhere.net. And make sure that however you're consuming this, whether it's audio later, you're watching live, or you're watching later, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to have some content that will go just to YouTube that won't end up going to audio. So make sure you're subscribed there so you see it, so you get it. And make sure you're following us on all your social media platforms. We try to share everything in each of the different platforms in various ways, whether we're talking Instagram, whether we're talking Facebook, whether we're talking Blue Sky, whether we're talking the X, wherever you want to go.
And the Atlanta Attack stuff. I'm looking at that in the Ruckus stuff that's on the store.
Yeah. Old school stuff. The Ruckus one, I helped design that logo in 1998. That was done with a designer in Athens because I was actually a student at UGA at that time while I was trying to help run the Atlanta Ruckus. That's a whole other story for another day.
That's a book.
Yeah, actually, I think it will be a book. That's another bit of news that if things get done and contracts get signed, that might be talked about in 2025. But yeah, that logo was our redesign for the ill-fated 1998 Atlanta Ruckus season. One funny thing about that, as we were working on it, the idea was for it to be Atlanta Ruckus SC, if I remember right. We were gonna have SC in the branding, and the USL did not let us do that. I can't remember all the back and forth about it. USL was really a stickler for a lot of things back then. I'm sure they still are in various ways, but it was really interesting dealing with USL on the logo design and what could be and where. I think we couldn't use the flames on the A League logo. Like we have the A in the ball.
Yeah.
When you look at the logo, that's from the A League logo, which was it's now the USL Championship, but it was the A League at that time, and it kind of went back and forth. They had flames on it, I think, in one, and we couldn't use that or something, and it was all kinds of weird things. But anyway, that Ruckus old logo, you can buy a T-shirt with that on it, and you can buy the alternate Atlanta Attack logo that was found and put there. I don't think anybody has the rights to it. If not, we'll have to take it down. So get it now.
Get it now before it turns into something retro and
I have no idea who would own the rights to it. I've seen Attack stuff, so
yeah,
smile and nod.
Yes. We have the topics of conversation for our buddy Nino Torres in 10 Eastern.
What do you have?
Going fully loaded. Topic number 1: We the people made the Peruvian IRS retrieve, and Universitarios administration remained intact.
Okay.
Topic number 2. I'm thinking. I think he meant retreat and not retrieve. Number 2, the Rui Borges era in Lisbon started strong with Catamo being Benfica's nightmare again. Topic number 3, what's it like to be a technical director in the Peruvian Liga?
Oh, that'll be a fun one.
And number 4, United in the Premiership next season. I don't know, Amarima. I don't know. So
yeah, that'll be interesting as well.
So,
okay, so that's at 10 o'clock.
That's at 10 o'clock with Nino when we go fully loaded, and our buddy Niko Moreno will come on at 10:30-ish for the last half hour, and he will discuss a trade that happened involving.
No, it has not happened yet. Slow down.
The talk with possibly somebody going from Dallas to Seattle.
It's not official yet, so it has not happened yet, but it's sounding like from Niko and his buddies at Sounder at Heart that it is all but done, and the final T's are being crossed and the final I's are being dotted. And maybe it will be official in the next hour. I don't know. It'd be early for the West Coast.
Yep. And so then we'll find out what's going on with trades and possibilities and who's going the other way and all the money that's being exchanged and what else is on his mind. And
I think the biggest thing, because all that's out there, the biggest thing that I'd like to hear from Niko is how he thinks the Sounders are, how much better they are with adding Ferreira, with getting Ariola, and where they stand going into 25, competing with the Galaxy, with LAFC, as that kind of next team in the West. I'd say they're a pretty solid third in that conversation. How close are they to the LA teams? I don't know. I'd be curious to get Niko's take on that.
Yeah, so we'll see what Niko has to say coming up in the last half hour of the show here on a Thursday. You going to go get some breakfast and have some espresso or something?
I'm not going to have any espresso. I am going to get some breakfast. I am going to keep my eye on things around here because you trying to run a new system, it's like, I don't think you have your full driver's license yet on this. So we have to make sure that you are being monitored for not breaking things.
Hey, I mean, I didn't have my driver's license until I was 20.
That explains a lot, John.
Well, I mean, I didn't have a car, so there wasn't much of a point to sit there. And it's like, you get a driver's license, what are you driving? I'm not driving nothing. So it was kind of pointless. So didn't get my driver's license till I was 20 and just about out of college.
That explains so much.
I know. So you'll be hanging out in the background and making sure that I don't crash the car. Is that how this works?
I will try to be doing that. Yes, I'm sure you will still find a way.
Driver's ed with Jason this morning. So this will be fun. All right. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for setting everything up.
Adios, everybody.
There goes Jason. And so it's just you and me for the time being. So like I said, hour number 2 is our standard hour number 2. And at 10 o'clock, it'll be our buddy Nino Torres joining us from Gold TV. You heard his topics. Portugal, Peru, England. See, I can't quite do that with the way that Jason does it. I can't quite do that, but he's better at that than I am. And so we'll have those topics coming up and fully loaded coming up at 10 o'clock. And our buddy Niko Moreno discussing the closeness of things and the roster turnover that is being alleged and not quite official yet in Seattle, with possible transactions involving Dallas and personnel coming in, and we'll see what happens. So that is hour number 2. But let me check and see what's going on with all of you guys this morning. Morning Pars, morning Alex. Pars wants to know, do I have a phone in a bag in the car? Close. I like I said, I didn't have. Now, when I had my first cell phone, I mean, it was one of those little things. It literally was like a Nokia that was about 4 inches tall. It had the antenna that was another inch. It literally is like one of those things. It's about that big with the additional. Yep. And the boss is like, yep, had the same thing. So you had a bag phone? Oh, wow. So the boss had a bag phone when she started. So that shows you how much of a start that she had when it came to cell phones and things. But no, my first phone was the little Nokia that was about an inch wide and about 3 or 4 inches tall that had the antenna on the top. That was mine. That was my first cell phone. But I did not have a phone in a bag in the car. And yes, Alex, I was waiting, in fact, for the vacuum tubes to warm up. Yeah, and that reminds me of like the old Magnavox television that my grandparents had. Actually, they believed in Magnavox. They had like 3 Magnavox TVs in their house, and literally, you pull the knob and the TV kind of warms up and you're waiting for everything, and it takes a good 2 or 3 minutes for everything to warm up, depending on the phone, depending on the TV, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, right there with you. Yes, waiting for the vacuum tubes to warm up. Absolutely true. David, morning. Long time away with Ohio family travel. Glad to be back. Absolutely. And Alex, I think that's probably the best way to phrase it. Morning Espresso is the Rondo of SDH. So for those of you that, as Jason said, you can't hang out for the full show in the morning. You go and catch up. You get your highlights. It's like the headline news, where if we were CNN, that's the headline news of CNN2, or the headline news of what's going on in the world. And so, morning espresso, you get to hang out with Jason for about 10 to 13 minutes and find out what's going on. Yes, Gabe, the roast goes crazy. That is absolutely true. Morning, Tom. And yeah, this was one of the things that I wanted to get into this morning, was the new rumor of Brandon Vasquez to Austin. And that is being discussed. So all the stuff that we had heard before, back in 2024, when we were discussing it initially, there was all of this discussion that basically Monterrey was just like Rayadas, so they're just like, yeah, nah, we're just dumping it. We're dumping Brandon. No, that's not the case. They're not just, they dropped $7.5 million on Brandon Vasquez. They are not going to sit there and go, well, yeah, we're just going to set that on fire and he can go wherever he wants. No, it appears that right now Austin is being very, very busy, possibly, probably, allegedly in the window. And it looks like they might be interested in Brandon Vasquez. So we'll keep an eye on that. It also appears that Franco Negri, you'll remember him from Messi and Friends. Franco Negri, by the way, looks like he is, according to Cesar Luis Merlo, one of the new reinforcements in San Diego for San Diego FC. So Franco Negri goes from Messi and Friends to San Diego. And so that is not officially official, but that is close to being close, was how I believe it was posted and positioned yesterday. So Franco Negri is listed by Cesar Luis Merlo as being a new reinforcement for San Diego FC. I have not seen anything official. Let me double check my interwebs, and we can see what's going on with possibilities. But after signing Ilie, Austin might be chasing after Brandon Vasquez. We mentioned the Fafa Pico signing. That happened during the show Tuesday. We talked about that. NYCFC has loaned James Sands to FC St. Pauli. And so we'll keep an eye on NYC and what they do in the interim. So the inaugural roster, and once again, this was updated as of the 27th. So just after Christmas, back in the old studio for the morning show. CJ Dos Santos in a trade for Messi and Friends. Duran Ferri, but remember, Ferri was loaned back out for the year. So I think Ferri's back at Nordsjælland. Jacob Jackson is a part of the reentry draft. Pablo Cisniega came in on a free. So Hamadi Diop in the expansion draft. Patty McNair in a free. Christopher McVeigh in a trade from DC United. Andres Reyes from Red Bulls. Loffelsund and Heine Bruseth from Orlando from the expansion draft. Super draft. Manu Dua, Anibal Godoy on a free. Jeppe Tverskov from Nordsjælland. Thomas Angel in a trade from LAFC. Marcus Ingevartsen from Nordsjælland. And you had Juki Lozano and Alex Mighton in a trade transfer from Nottingham Forest. So that's where things are right now. But it appears the new reinforcement to be coming. Nothing like a bunch of like future participles when it comes to this stuff, because nothing's official yet. But it looks like that you're going to get more reinforcements. Formerly of Messi and friends, Franco Negri probably leaning toward going to San Diego FC. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yes. Uh, so that is uh, with Brandon Vasquez and Alex reminding us about televisions had a Zenith that was a cabinet size. Yes. Yeah. That was the Magnavoxes. We had the 3 Magnavoxes, and they were literally, I swear to God, they were like 4 feet wide, and the monitor, I call it a monitor, but the screen size took up most of that 4 feet, and those were the 3 that were there that my grandparents had in the house. They were all Magnavoxes, and they were all huge. Yeah, Harry, Happy New Year's, SDH staff behind the star of the show, please. Basically, it is Jason making sure I don't screw it up. That's what this is, Harry. I mean, it is, but no, yeah, I went through full disclosure to be ready for this morning. I went in last night into our new setup and was trying to do some things, and it's like, okay, can I play this open? Can I do this? What can I do here? Here's the chain of command, A to B, and all these kinds of things. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got a decent handle on at least getting on the air. And then there are some things that we're used to hearing that are used to, part of the drops and exits and things like that I've got to figure out how to add and all those kinds of things. So basically right now I can get it on the air, I think. And so we'll see if I can get us off the air. I think I probably can get us off the air at 11 or whatever, but we'll see about getting us on the air in future days. So once again, tomorrow, I invited everybody at the beginning of this week. We'll see how many people remember. But basically, it's just since the year didn't end, like Friday wasn't like the 30 days, says September, April, June, and November, 31st. So Friday's not the 31st, it's the 3rd. And so I wanted to kind of do like a hybrid, getting us into 25, getting us out of 24 kind of a thing. And so inviting anybody and everybody that wants to come in and crash. But like I said, I think our friends from the Marshall Islands, Matt Webb, and hopefully TD Lloyd Hours will be joining us at 10 o'clock to start hour number 2, just to kind of catch things up, because they've had a busy year and wanted to kind of let you guys in on what they're doing. And maybe I'll probably end up wearing the first jersey, but the second one hasn't been to the laundry yet. So got the new jersey. You can still grab the scarf. You can go to their website for the national team. You can go to the national team store, and you can see Maddie modeling the scarf that we put together to help out our friends from the Marshall Islands. They'll be joining us at 10 o'clock, and we'll see who else joins us tomorrow, just across the board, to kind of put a bow on 24 and get you ready for 25. Morning, Michael Valverde. Bart, definitely some thoughts on James Sands coming next week on the Soccer for US POD. Yes, absolutely. I'm not surprised by that at all. And Alex just realized that the set is flipped for me. So, yeah, it is, because that is true. It is flipped, because that's my right. Yeah, that's my right arm going off toward this way. But yeah, the set's flipped now, so it's reversed. That's interesting. Okay. So, interesting that the set is flipped. But, so righties and lefties and things. Okay. Other things that I had on the list this morning. Obviously, we talked about Danny Olmo and what's going on with him and the Guardian. It was in the two. I know it does look like my left arm. This is my left arm, by the way. This is my left arm in real time, but it looks like, it's flipped in other parts of the planet. I had literally in my research for the morning, I had Danny Olmo pop up in 2 separate places. And so we got to catch up on Danny Olmo with Jason, as we started things off here this morning. But yeah, Danny Olmo popped up in 2 separate places for research. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is right now. So that's where we are. Okay, so we had some stuff happening with the Premier League yesterday. We had Arsenal and Brentford to finish up festive fixtures before everything gets ready and gets back into the weekend, and they're only playing once a week instead of 3 times in like 8 days. But the one thing that I wanted to get into involving the Prem has to do with Leicester. And that screaming that you heard is our buddy Jason Nix. Leicester is at the risk of another PSR charge over their latest accounts. This is from Matt Hughes over at The Guardian. Club recorded that big losses over the last 2 years, and league sources say Leicester may have a case to answer to. And so, according to Matt Hughes, facing a nervous wait to discover whether they will be charged with breaching profit and sustainability for a second successive season. One of several clubs in the top flight who had to submit their financial accounts for the 23-24 season by the end of business on New Year's Eve, 31st, because they recorded losses over the last 2 years and will be told by the 13th of this month whether they breach PSR. They escaped a points deduction earlier this year after they were charged with a £24.4 million breach for the 22-23 season. The legal team, remember, successfully persuaded the independent commission that having been relegated at the end of that year, they weren't in the Premier League when they submitted their accounts. So that's a gorgeous technicality when you think about it. We're not here, so your rules don't apply. Club recorded pre-tax losses of £182.5 million for 22 and 23. And so they're at the risk of being charged with another breach. Given the points deductions handed out to Everton and Forest, any charge could be a blow to their survival hopes. Right now, Leicester is second bottom. Now, remember, Premier League rules restrict club losses to $105 million over a 3-year period. Right now, remember, Leicester's at 182. That's not good. Leicester was in the championship. Their permitted losses for the current 3-year cycle reduced by £22 million owing to the EFL's stricter spending limits. They will have been reduced by last year's player sales. Harvey Barnes, Timothy Castagna, that's $53 million. $10 million compensation received from Enzo Maresca's move to Chelsea, so that's $63. The £30 million sale of Dewsbury Hall will not be included because that didn't go through until July of 24. So there's $30 million. Well, yeah. So 53, 63. Yeah. So 60. They're right there. They got to figure something out. Leicester are confident they'll avoid another charge under regulations introduced 18 months ago. All Premier League clubs that have posted aggregate losses over the previous 2 accounting periods have to hand in their accounts for the previous season by the end of the calendar year. And that's why they had to have their stuff done by New Year's Eve day. And so now it's 2 weeks to figure it out, see if Leicester is in breach of PSR again. And so given Leicester was found to be in breach by $24.4 million for the 22-23, they're the one that are most vulnerable. Chelsea, Everton, and Forest sold players last summer, so they are confident that they will be right there for PSR. So they're confident. Leicester might have some work to do. Leicester might have a little bit of work to do. Danny Olmo should come to Atlanta United, according to Bart. Yes, Arthur's checks will clear. That is absolutely true. They will. And that's the thing. It's like we see a lot of players. I mean, Reggie Cannon comes to mind, actually, as one of those folks that is stuck consistently. Remember what happened with him? Not getting paid. And so you end up with a situation where it's like, well, I'm not getting paid, so I'm out. And the club's like, well, no. You come to a place like Atlanta United, you don't have to worry about that. You come to a place like Major League Soccer, you don't have to worry about that. I don't think Danny Olmo's coming to Major League Soccer, mind you, but nevertheless, it is a financially stable league. You don't have to worry about a check for a double negative not clearing. You don't have to worry about that. Folks come to Major League Soccer, because of all of their traverses and travails and travels all around the planet. You can come to Major League Soccer. The checks will clear. You set up your direct deposit, it won't be an issue. You see, that won't, it's just, it's there. You don't have to worry about it. Other leagues, not so much. Other leagues, not so much. David's like, we need Atlanta to be like those NHL teams with cap space, getting bargains on great players because teams just need to free up money. Yeah, well, and I mean, you don't want to be like Phoenix though, David, where you're just at the bottom of the salary cap structure. You don't want to just have that space available. Where when Phoenix was at the bottom for a reason. They didn't want to spend any money, and they're buying dead contracts, and that way they're right at the floor of the National Hockey League. One of those kind of deals. So I mean, it's it's if you're one of those kind of deals, you know, just saying. Do you want to be like Phoenix? Do you want to be like the Coyotes? No. You want to be a Detroit. You want to be a Rangers, a New York Rangers. You want to be right there at the. You want to be right there at the top. Oh yeah, you want guys ready to ball out. Absolutely true. Yeah, no, and yeah, Tom, I hit the button. Yeah, Jason was like, "Okay, here, do this." One of the things you can do during, uh, during the show is you can send private messages. I'm just learning this now because the private message pops up. Jason says, "Okay, go here, do this, and then you can reverse." So I just flipped back apparently. So I hit the button. I did something. Yeah, I feel like we should have like a trumpet sounder or something. But yeah, it is going to be. Uh, yeah, if you want to be the Rangers, you want to be Tampa, you want to be, you want to be one of those where if you're in the National Hockey League, you want to be up at the top. You want to spend right up against the top of the cap. I think that's what you want. Is you want to be one of those folks that spends right up to the edge of the cap. So it will be interesting to see how things continue to proceed when it comes to the chase and what it's going to look like for Ronnie Dyla, Chris Henderson, Garth Lagerwey et al. And no, there have not been any other further rumors, trumpetings, etc. when it comes to players that you can watch, by the way, in 8 minutes on CBS Sports Network for Old Firm to see how they could possibly be a part of things here involving Atlanta United. The last stuff that popped up involving anyone from Celtic was, what was it, 9 days ago. Nothing has advanced in the rumors, reports, what have you, mill, involving those individuals. Any of those individuals. Nothing. So ain't seen nothing in the last handful of days. So that's where we are involving those folks and the additions of Atlanta United. Once again, our buddy Nino Torres going to be a part of Fully Loaded coming up here in about 10 minutes, and then Niko Moreno and the possible probables that might really be happening, perhaps maybe, involving Seattle and Dallas and folks and players going both ways and a lot of money and all of those things. So that's always the fun part of this year. But now that we are in January, the window's open. Obviously, we'll have gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Now, the trade that we were discussing earlier in this hour, where it was Tommy Scoops, and this is what we'll discuss once again with Niko coming up at the bottom of the hour. Seattle has reached an agreement, according to Bogert. Jesus Ferreira. Dallas is getting $2 million in game, an international roster spot in Leo Chu. But the hook is that Jesus Ferreira had to agree to a new contract, and all of this is pending approval and paperwork and what have you. So that's what we were staring at. So that's what we were staring at and trying to see where things stand involving those individuals. So we'll keep an eye on that. But obviously, we'll talk to Niko Moreno about that when he drops by at the bottom of the hour. Stuff going on overseas. Daniel Malen and Dortmund and Villa, the discussion there. Dortmund won a total package of around 30 million euro for Malen. Villa's opening offer was short, but this is going to continue. Dortmund formally rejected the first bid, second one expected. Villa's optimistic that a deal can be agreed to. Keep an eye on Casemiro. In addition to others at Manchester United, multiple Saudi clubs remain attentive to the situation. Al Ittihad made the most concrete approach over the summer. Al Nassr and Al Qadsiya also interested but once again, what you have to do is monitor the foreign player allotments in the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. Right now, the foreign quotas are full for most clubs. So you've got to have somebody go outbound before you can bring somebody inbound. And so it looks like Al Ahly might be one of the contenders for Casemiro. Big priority for them, also in the market for a midfielder and a left back. And so it's 8 players. So basically, what's 8 over 30? So if we apply Major League Soccer rules, so basically a third to a quarter, 8 slots that you have, 8 internationals. And right now, most of the clubs are maxed out at their 8. Something to keep an eye on when it comes to Manchester United, players leaving and possibly heading to Saudi Arabia. Remember, so 8 outbound is what you're staring at, or 8 foreign nationals for the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. Brighton still trying to figure out if they want to listen to offers for Evan Ferguson in January. Arsenal, Fulham, and West Ham among those who are really, really interested. Rennes have confirmed that Seko Fofana has joined from Al Nassr, so Al Nassr has a spot available. Who will they pursue? Total package is worth about 20 million euro, signed until 2029. So keep an eye on that as you're looking at January. January being January, and January always being what January is. You're going to get a lot of, and I'll say this right now. I will say this right now. Right now. Look at your sources, follow your sources, keep an eye on your sources. I don't know how many times we're going to say it, but I'm just going to go ahead and start saying it here, January 2nd. Watch your sources, especially on the 280-character app. Check the number of followers, check their history, check to see if they're just lightning in a bottle, check to make sure that everything is fine involving these individuals and the information that they report. Check your sources. We're going to say that all month long. But when it comes to all of these announcements and all these folks that are in their mom's basements wearing underoos, double check your sourcing numbers. How many followers do they have? What's their track record? All this kind of stuff. We'll talk to Nino coming up in just a little bit. According to the Mirror, Manchester United will try to sign Victor Gyökeres from Sporting this month on a bid to save their season. Deal is expected to cost £80 million. I don't think that Manchester United is going to flinch. We mentioned Trent Alexander-Arnold. Real Madrid remain on track to sign him in the summer on a free as he's looking to leave. La Liga club want the England defender to sign a pre-contract quickly to avoid the possibility of him changing his mind. That's from Relevo. Liverpool resolved to keep Alexander-Arnold for the rest of the season, tested by a second approach from Real Madrid in January. Barcelona sporting director Deco's eagerness to sign Luis Diaz has been given a boost, with the 27-year-old unhappy. Talks have not started over an improved contract at Anfield. Arsenal lead the race to sign Eintracht Frankfurt forward Omar Marmoush amid interest from Liverpool, PSG, and AC Milan. Gunners have also considered a move for Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford, unwilling to pay more than £25 million for the English international. Rashford has denied holding discussions with an agency to try to engineer a transfer away from Manchester United this month. Fulham fear that Marseille will renew their interest in Andreas Pereira to the tune of about £20 million. Brentford, West Ham, and Fulham monitoring the contract situation of Will Hughes at Crystal Palace. Bayern Munich, PSG will rival 6 Premier League clubs to sign Dani Olmo on a free. We talked about Dani Olmo in the first half hour. Manchester United open to talks for both Casemiro, Christian Eriksen, and Victor Lindelof. That's from our friend Fabrizio Romano. That's a tier 1 source. Bilbao keeping tabs on Borja signs. Should fellow Spanish winger Niko Williams leave La Liga? Forest will listen to offers for Taiwo Iwaniyi this month if they can secure a replacement of similar ability. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Manchester United's £900 million kit deal with Adidas could be terminated by the German sportswear giant if the club were relegated from the Premier League. I love just the extrapolation of that idea. The screaming that you heard was Drew Dickinson as he prepares another 3D. There are teams that are a lot worse than Manchester United. They ain't getting relegated. Ruben Amorim will allow 17-year-old English left-back Harry Amas and England midfielder Dan Gore to leave on loan in January. Crystal Palace could look to cash in on Tyrick Mitchell in the January window before his deal expires at the end of the season. And Galatasaray are in talks with PSG over a deal to sign Slovakia defender Milan Skriniar on loan with an option to buy. That is from Sky Sports Germany's Florian Plettenberg. So that is your gossip, rumor, and innuendo for this morning from our friends at our friends at the BBC. And so what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Remember, starting fairly quickly is Old Firm. You can keep an eye on some possible new friends, perhaps, maybe, possibly. But once again, Old Firm is on. You can catch the second half on CBS Sports Network unless you want to have part of it on while you're hanging out with us. So we'll see what's going on there. Dundee United is on CBS Sports Network at 12:30, and the Supercoppa Italiana semifinals, which, if I'm not mistaken, are not in Italy. Inter Milan and Atalanta on Paramount Plus. That one is at 2:00. So it is a fairly light day here on January 2nd when it comes to stuff, but that's what you can watch. And like I said, very, very full day, very, very busy day. And, like I said, it's 2025. We're getting everything rolled up here and getting everything started. But no, this is the new look. And I could have done something just a second ago, but I mentioned new look and flipping cameras and things like that. And there's the 12-year-old in me that would want to sit there and just hit and mash the button and sit there and reverse and reverse and reverse and reverse. But I think that would even make me airsick. So I'm not going to do that. Now that I have finally flipped the camera to where it is supposed to be, so the right arm is over in one particular position. So you got that. A couple of other things that are in and around this morning. Yes, good spam of the graphics. Absolutely true. Couple of things to keep an eye on. Your required reading of the day, if you have those subscriptions, or if you can, click on a free article here or there. And I might bring some of them up early next week. From our friends at the Athletic, you've got the best freeze available over in the other side of the Atlantic. Who needs a move? Starting the beginning of 2025. And then the Times had a really interesting presentation when it came to life in the Prem. Your team in one statistic. And I thought that was pretty interesting that you had your team available to you in one statistic. Just to give you an example as to your team in one stat. I sit there and I click on it and I'm like, no, that's not what I clicked on. That's not what I clicked on, people. It's like your team in one statistic. And so what I'm trying to do, okay, so every Premier League club season so far in one stat. No. Oh, so now it's a flash sale with the Times? Is that how this works? Okay, so I might have to actually take them up on the offer. By the way, it's £1 a month for 12 months. Ends soon, by the way. So I may view the offer, but anyway. So your team in one stat. So when I drop the £12 to subscribe to the Times for a year, then we'll go back and we'll read that. But that's kind of requested reading for the day. Yeah, Independent was full-blown Danny Olmo, as was The Guardian. And so there was a whole lot there. Thomas Tuchel, by the way, is taken over. It's his official time to take over and things. And so we'll see what's going on. All right. So it is, get this, I'm actually going to do this. I think I'm actually going to pull this off. We'll see what happens. So, new technology.
Yeah, I see that.
And there he is. Oh, my God. I actually did it. Holy crap. It is Nino. So, yellow to 2025.
Yellow. Soccer Down Here fans. Thank you, John, for having me on this new year. Fully loaded, baby, as always. It's always coming in on fully loaded for you, for the Atlanta United fans, Columbus Blue fans, Seattle Seahawks, everyone,
Everybody
out there, man.
And so, no, it's we are testing the new technology and my limits of understanding the technology. Jason's kind of hovering in the background. It's like in case Nelson screws something up, he'll try to fix it real quick. So that's
All right.
that's where we are this morning. Jason's laying low, eating breakfast, and making sure that Nelson doesn't screw anything up. So that's where we are this morning.
His replacement ready to roll, huh?
All right. So I announced what your topics and concerns were for fully loaded for this morning. And after what happened last week, I thought it was going to be interesting to hear, because the biggest thing I wanted for you was to be safe, considering what you were going to do when you were leaving a week ago. You were going to protest in the streets, and it was going to be banners, and I just have this vision of like Les Mis happening in the streets. It's like everybody with flags and everything. And you say, we the people, this is topic number one, we the people made the Peruvian IRS retreat and Universitario's administration remained intact. Please, sir, let everybody know what the hell happened last week.
Okay, so for everyone that doesn't know the context, right? So the Universitario de Deportes is under the Peruvian IRS administration, which is a SUNAT. That's what it's called here, SUNAT. So because of their financial issues 10 years ago, they set up a temporary administration, and they renew that commitment every 3 years. And that commitment was renewed back in September of 2024. The administration was renewed for until 2027. Everything was good. But then suddenly, out of the blue, they decided, it wasn't, so the official communication never saw the light. But the Peruvian, the president of Universitario de Deportes, the administrator of Universitario de Deportes, which is Jan Ferrari, he got the insight. They want to relieve him. The SUNAT was going to relieve him from his duties, and they're going to put another administration. So he anticipated the move and made a press conference telling to the world that the SUNAT was trying to relieve him with no reason, with no absolute reason. Because according to law, there were only 3 reasons why he should be relieved: death, mental incapacity, or what was the other? I forgot he got to quit or something. That was the 3 options. None of those 3 were in place. Okay. Riots on the streets, brother. Riots on the streets. I don't know how many people, 10, 20,000 people around that.
Wow.
Massive movements. And that day, then when I told you that I was going to a protest, a group of fans, we went to the Monumental Stadium because that's where the press conference when to take place, right? So we went there, and we support the. Gotta tell you, I went with my cell phone, right, with my microphone. I was just another streamer on the streets, interviewing people outside, and then got to a press conference, and the people from the Ministerio of Media was like, "Oh, you press? Yes, I'm from the media. I'm Gold TV." I was by myself with my shirt, brother, with my Ministerio de Deportes shirt. And they were like, oh, it's Gold TV. Everybody, oh, it's Gold TV. They put me on the front line, brother. I was ahead of everyone else. And that was so funny, man. It was so funny because I was not on duty. I was just being there as a fan. But I'm Gold TV, so whatever. They put me in front of everyone else. Man. They make, hey, hold on a second. This is Gold TV coming through, guys. And
Wow.
I was right there.
Wow.
It was crazy. And then on the videos of the press conference, the fans started chanting, right? And I was like, oh. And you see that all over the news. Nino Torres was there with his Universitario de Deportes jersey, supporting Jan Ferrari.
Man. Well.
And then the next day, that was when the actual protest took place, right? And they went from the old Universitario Stadium to the headquarters of SUNAT, the Peruvian IRS, and that was massive. That was massive. And guess what happened? There's no official communication throughout that day, right? That is saying that Jan Ferrer is going to be relieved from his duties. The president, not the president, what's this called? The minister, one of the ministers in came up on TV to say, you know what, Sunat, don't mess with Universitario de Deportes. Please, Mr. Jan Ferrari, just continue to do the fine job you've been doing. He said that on TV. And then the next, until then, it was midnight, no official communication from Sunat. Next morning, the day after the riots, they come up with a communication. Yeah, we're not gonna relieve him. We just he's gonna stay as it is. And thank you everyone for nothing.
Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, nothing. He's not moving. He's not going anywhere. And boom, there you go. It was an intense 3 days because we were waiting for the official communication, right? Mm-hmm. It never came up to say he's relieved from his duties. No, never came up. And then, yeah, they felt the pressure, brother. They felt the pressure. It was all over the news. It was people on the streets. Everyone was talking about Universitario de Deportes, and it was massive. It was glorious.
Massive and glorious. Absolutely true. Okay, so when Niko joins us, bottom of the hour, breaking news out of Philadelphia, Bradley Carnell is the new head coach for Philadelphia Union. Let go early from all caps in St. Louis, and he is now the new manager taking over in Philly after they did not renew Jim Curtin's deal. So Bradley Carnell, the new head coach for Philadelphia Union. We'll get into that at the bottom of the hour with Niko Moreno. All right, topic number 2. I feel like Larry King. Topic number, or Jim Rome. Topic number 2. The Rui Borges era in Lisbon started strong with Catamo being Benfica's nightmare again. So Rui Borges, we like to talk about Portugal, considering that you get to call a lot of those matches for Gold TV. You call all the heavyweights. So Rui Borges era, sir, continue. What's going on?
Yes, Rui Borges era. Yeah, kicking off his career in Sporting in a Lisbon derby against Benfica at the José Alvalade Stadium in Lisbon, home of the Sporting Club, right? And everybody was concerned and to see what he was going to do because he plays with a back 4, and Sporting has been playing with a back 3 since Amorim took over back in 2020. Okay, so it's been 4 years playing with a back 3. But why is he going to do this? He's going to send a message. What is he going to change? And he did. He played with 4 in the back. So we watched actually the first time when we seen Sporting play with a 4-4-2 in like forever, and it worked out. It worked out. He ran back the solidity that they lost. The team was fluid at the beginning. The 2 wingers were kind of trying to figure out their positions because they're not as free as they were with a 3-4-3. But everything came down perfectly for Rui Borges. And you know what's crazy? How human beings are we are just amazing, right? Because we can feel the level of confidence to the top again from Sporting, right? And that's the leadership. That's the leadership, because every time that you see Joao Pereira entering the Alvalade, he was like shaking and all nervous and having panic attacks. We Borges got into the Alvalade with a cup of coffee, chilling, all that with his tracksuit, looking at everybody like a mafia boss, like, I'm here, bud. And yeah, he transmitted that to his team, and that's the thing. That's how the team played. And then it wasn't spectacular. It was because it's a derby. It's just, the two giants collide. It's a heavyweight fight. You're not gonna make a blowout. But in the end, Geni Catamo again being the king of the derbies, because in the last 3 derbies that he played, he scored in all 3, and all 3 derbies that he scored, Sporting won, and they won again, and they sent a message, and they finished the year 2024 at the top of the table. That remained at the top of the table, where everyone thought that they were going to derail. They were going to derail badly. We talked about this, right? Like we said that they could finish on 4th and 5th place, but no, top of the table, right out there with Porto. Benfica is behind them, and the title race is open, but it's not as open as it was a couple of weeks ago before we Warriors took over, man.
Yeah, just so folks know, what matches are you calling this weekend in the Liga, by the way?
Let me see what I got. Oh, right, and the heavyweights continue now, man. Tomorrow, we got Vitória Guimarães versus Sporting.
Yep.
And on Saturday, we got Benfica versus Braga.
Right.
Brother,
Okay.
Heavyweights. Number 1 versus number 5, number 3 versus number 4. It's gonna be a heck of a game. Those two, man. All those 2 games are gonna be fantastic.
And you can catch that on Goal TV, which you can get at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network, helps out you, helps out us, and it helps you continue to be a sicko, and you get to watch our buddy Nino Torres call the games. By the way, Sporting is a -123, so they are a road favorite at Vitória Guimarães, who is a +322, draws a +261. Benfica is a -238 at home. Draw is a +370 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Braga is a +574 in that particular matchup, which is 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Your standings, Sporting is now back ahead. They're even with Porto in wins and losses, 13-1-2. 3 goals difference, +34 to +31. That's where you are right now. Benfica 2 points back, having played 16 matches at 38 points. That is the A group right there, 1, 2, and 3. Then Santa Clara is at 30 points, and they start group number 2 with position 4. Braga's at 5 at 28 points. Guimarães is 6th at 24, so on and so forth. So that's where things are. But you can watch on Goal TV for our friends at Fanatis, and you can do that, as always, here. Topic number 3. What it's like to be a technical director in the Peruvian Liga. Okay, I'll bite. What is it like to be a technical director in the Peruvian Liga?
It was, I said this because on the last show that we're doing in Spanish on Monday nights, it's called Atacantes with our strikers. I had the lucky enough to contact one of the technical directors in the Peruvian Liga Uno. He's Gustavo Basalo. He's the technical director for Sport Boys. And I asked him this because, number one, he's my friend. He's a childhood friend. He was a Peruvian striker for the national team. That day he went into these duties. And I asked him this because Sport Boys is one of the part of the Big Five in Peru. Okay, they haven't won a tournament in a while. Actually, the last time they won was like 1991. Mm-hmm. And then he came into this position during a season that they were facing relegation. They changed coach twice before he arrived. So he was not like he got into the perfect scenario, right? It was trouble. There was trouble in there, and but he's so smart. He's so prepared. He is so, I mean, the right time came, the right opportunity came in the right time for him, and they ended up avoiding relegation by only 4 points. They were saved by only 4 points, but the you can feel that the league respects people that knows about soccer, and this guy knows about soccer, right? I mean, in his first year, he navigated through these storms, and he had to change the third coach of the season. The third coach of the season for the last stretch of the campaign, it was critical. So he got a team, and they all figured it out, and tried, and they brought the best possible head coach for them in that moment, and ended up saving Sport Boys from relegation. And I was asking this to him, right? Because it's all about this. The silly season, it's ridiculous, right? Everyone can sign anyone from anywhere, right? And we were, University fans were concerned because they signed a 30. We were looking for a striker, okay? And there were lots of names linked to Universitario. One from Colombia, one from Argentina, from Uruguay, la la la. So we ended up getting a 35-year-old striker. 35. He scored 4 goals this year.
Mm-hmm.
Crap! Everybody was like, "Come on, man! Why in the world?" So I asked him, "So how it's like to sign players?" Well, there are different things. He told me, right? There are different things. Number one, check on the budget first. Number two, we check on the contract situation for the player or the coach that we're going to sign. Okay,
Right.
that's number two.
Yeah.
Number three, if they line up with the values of our team, of our club. All right.
Yeah.
And number four, we get references from people who knows this coach, the player. And number five, we got the what is it? The scouting report from the scouting team. So those are the 5 topics, the 5 checklists that you gotta go through in order to sign players. And it's not that easy as it looks, because as it looks. Not because we pretend that the thing here is that the Liga Uno is, we are the bottom of the contract. Okay, that's the reality. Okay, and then when we try to sign players for 1.2, 2.5, whatever million you want to sign it, they're not going to come here. They won't come here because it's a step down in their careers, and then it's like going to the bottom of the table. You want to go for the bottom of the table team, or you want to go play in Brazil, or go play in Argentina? No, I'm rather go there, or rather go to the MLS. And because in the MLS lately, they're snatching players from South America like crazy. But having said that, the point was that it's just the expectations and the reality not always match. Okay, and we have to lower our expectations, because this is one of the worst leagues in the continent. Again, it hurts to say that, but it's the truth. And the numbers, right? These are the numbers, these are the expectations, and how do we match it up? And you know what? He told me, I asked him this. How do you feel when you go watch the games for your team? Because you were a player, you feel like you want to jump in again or play again. And, you know what he told me? No, my role, my view is for these players to have everything they need. I'm there to be their facilitator, right? I'm there to, if you're missing the bottled waters, the management, equipment, tickets, everything. When he goes to the stadium, he watches every single detail that can in some way, somehow, can make an impact on the players, on the team, on the roster, on the coach. And that's what he told me. And that was I'm so glad that he's You know what's the best part? Not the best part or not, but he's an honest man. All right. Number one, he knows about the sport, and he has that vision, right? That vision that I wish many other members of the Peruvian Soccer League will have, and when we probably could do better if we had someone like him more often and in more teams.
Well, but that's also a double-edged sword, because you have someone that is that honest, then his honesty will get him places, but I'm sure that there are times, especially with fans, where his honesty will count against him, and it will be that much of a negative too at times.
Right. But and it was crazy, right? Because I got fans join on the stream, fans of Sport Boys, and they were asking, "Hey, when are we gonna play this? When are we gonna get this defender?" And he, kindly and respond to all the questions from the fans, and that's the media training that you have to have, right? You gotta be careful how you put your words out. How do you say the statements that they're gonna make an impact, but you gotta be careful. And he's good in that department too, man.
Topic number 4. Topic number 4, as he gives it to me this morning. United in the championship next season, and here's how it was phrased. United in the championship next season, ? I don't know, Amarim. I don't know. That's how literally I'm reading it as it was sent to me this morning. I don't know, Amarim. I don't know.
4 losses in a row. How it's amazing how things can get old so fast especially in the Premier League. Because they are. Will you agree with me that the British media is the most dramatic media in the planet, man? I don't think that there's more dramatic media than the British, man.
It's like the old Sanford and Son when Red Fox is like, "I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm he's having his heart attack. It's like, I'm coming, Elizabeth. This is a big one." And then it's like, "Oh, we won. Oh, we're great." And it's like, "Oh, yeah." Literally, it's the battle of the extremes. It's either everything's great or everything sucks. There is no moderation when it comes to the English media. No.
And he went to from being, "Oh man, look at what he's doing. He's the boss and this and that," and then and Gary Neville was happy with him, and then. It is crazy because what he's being criticized now is because he doesn't have a plan B, right? Yeah. He doesn't. He plays 3-4-3. Suck it up. He's gonna play 3-4-3 forever. He's not gonna change. He never changed it. He was like that in Prague. He was like that in Sporting. And he's playing 3-4-3 in United. And they're only 4 points ahead of relegation, man. 4 points ahead of relegation.
But I mean,
I know. I'm being dramatic too myself, right? I'm being dramatic too myself. But it's in this era, right, of the 3 points.
Yeah.
Right, because before, when there were 2 points for Victor, 1 point, it was a different story. But now, you win. I mean, it what's the 15th place in there? I forgot who's in the team that is in 15th, 17th place. You got the table there, John?
Yeah, right now, Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton. Those are the 3 right now. And so Ipswich is 15 points. Manchester United is 22 points. So 7 points separate.
7. I thought it was 4.
Well, I mean, it was at 1 point, but then you get a win. Right now, you're 7 points clear of the relegation zone. But we talked before you came on. I did mention that Adidas's £900 million deal for all of the gear for Manchester United could go away if they get relegated.
Jesus.
But the thing is, I mean, but seriously, I mean, look.
It's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen.
But once again, that goes to our talk about the British media, where it's like, oh, it's the big one. Oh, they won the four in a row. That's what you got, man. I mean, everybody's staring at Kieran McKenna and going, oh, I don't know. Yeah.
You know, but the thing is that it hurts because I'm a United fan, so it hurts me. It hurts me a lot. But to see the team not progressing, but like I said, I don't know, Amorim. I don't know, but I got faith. That's my thing. I got faith in Ruben, and even though all the pundits, as they call them, right? They call them pundits in England. Got everything against United. I think the thing is, the question is, they're gonna be out of every European competition.
Yeah,
that's the problem. That's a big problem right there, man. Out of the Conference League, out of the Europa League, out of the Champions League. Forget about the Champions League. Champions League, it's just no. It's out of our league right now. That's the saddest it sound. It is out of our league, the Champions League spot for United. But we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, and the worst part is the schedule. John, check out who's the next 3 games. They're playing Liverpool, they're playing Chelsea, they're playing Jesus, man. Who they playing next?
Well, it's Liverpool in the Prem. And then it is, and then you got Arsenal, but that's FA Cup.
Yeah, that's FA Cup. And then Newcastle.
Then you got Southampton. Oh boy, Southampton. Yeah, if you don't take care of business with Southampton, then you got a problem, son. So it's Arsenal in the FA Cup. Then Thursday the 16th at Southampton, and then quick turn. You go Thursday, Sunday, where it's Southampton, Brighton, and then you go back into Europa League. So but it's a match against Rangers, so there isn't a whole lot of travel that's attached. So it is January 5th, Liverpool. Yeah. Then it's FA Cup weekend on Sunday the 12th when you play Arsenal. Then you go Thursday, Sunday, Southampton, Brighton in the Prem. Then you go Europa League with Rangers. Then you come back Thursday, Sunday, the 26th, you play Fulham. Then you go back to Europa League and play FCSB to finish the month. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 matches in 25
days. Every 3 days.
Yep.
Every 3 days. And God, please, God protect us from injuries, because if they got injuries, I don't know what's going to happen with that team.
Yeah, and then there's talk about Casemiro on the outs, and a couple of Eriksson, I think, on the outs, and Lindelof on the outs. So I think that those are the 3 that everybody's staring at when it comes to everybody out in January. So we'll see. All right, hit the promo for me one more time. What are you up to this weekend at Gold TV, and where we become fully loaded once again in 2025?
Yes, sir. We're gonna call the game Vitória Guimarães versus Sporting. That's tomorrow. And we got the Benfica Braga on Saturday. Vitória Guimarães versus Sporting is 3 p.m. and Benfica on Saturday is 1 p.m.
What he said. Gold TV, Fanatis, or just watch Gold TV if you don't have Fanatis. But you can get Fanatis and you can hang out and do it that way. And it helps out the show, and it helps out the network, and it helps out watching our man Nino. Where's your co-pilot, by the way? Where's your co-pilot?
Where's you can maybe you can see it. Hold on.
There you go.
Look at that.
He's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, whatever, bro. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. Great to hear your voice. I'm glad you're safe, and glad that you're with us as always here on Thursdays, getting fully loaded. And it's great to see you in 2025, my friend. Love you very much. We'll catch up with you next week, eh?
Thank you, John. We'll see you next week.
All right, there goes Nino, and it's always fun. Look, to be able to have all of the different voices that we have, it's an absolute blast, and to be able to share what's going on around the planet, that's what makes it fun. And when we discuss what's going on over in Europe, and we find out what's going on in South America, and we find out what's going on in the man's mind when it comes to everything going on in Columbus, Ohio, when we get into Major League Soccer season. No, but it's always fun to catch up with our buddy Nino Torres and find out what's going on there with Goal TV in Portugal and besides. And I will say this: I will readily admit that when I watch Goal TV and I'll watch a game that Nino's calling, I'm that guy. I'm literally WhatsApp messaging Nino while he's on the air. Instead, in the old days, what I would do before we started, WhatsApp and having him on regularly, what I would do is I would shoot him notes on the 280 character app while he's calling a match. I would do it that way. And, it's like, I'll send him a note. And then he reads the note and on the Twitter. So, my buddy John, he's on the Twitter and he's watching, That to me was, I was like, oh, he's reading my tweet. But now that I've got him on WhatsApp and I can kind of go behind the scenes and then I can, have comments with him this way. And then he'll talk about what we're talking about. It's like we're having a conversation on WhatsApp and he's calling a game on the air. So literally it's like he's calling a match and I'm having a conversation with him while he's calling a match. And then he'll be talking to me while he's calling the match. And yeah, so that to me, it's part of the, so if you ever are watching a match with him, calling it on Goal TV, and one of the first things that attracted me to Nino as a play-by-play guy is his style. It is, Nino does it like no one else. And I love how he doesn't take any ish from the officials, doesn't take any ish from the fans. He'll be watching a match and he'll sit there and if a fan does something stupid, he'll sit there and he'll talk to the fan while he's doing play-by-play. I love that. Man's style is all his own. And if you have not had the chance to watch it on Goal TV, watch it because it is class. Absolutely class. And I love what he brings to the table for Goal TV. And I love what he brings to the table here because it adds to our knowledge base about what's going on in and around the planet. And I love the man very much. And I'm glad that he's safe. And I'm glad that he's a part of the family here at SDH. So, and so it's always fun that he comes in fully loaded every single week. And we can talk about what's going on this or any other planet. If he called Neptunian soccer, like if he's on like Saturn, like Saturn Premier League or something, we'd be talking about that too. But this or any other planet, it's unparalleled. And I love having Nino I love having him on Thursdays when we can go fully loaded and break everything down. Coming up around the corner, it'll be our man calling in from parts it's parts known. It's calling in from Seattle. I mean, I know where he's calling in from. So let's see what's going on. It is time to discuss what's going on in Major League Soccer with our buddy Niko Moreno. There he is. Look at you.
Hey, what's going on, John? Hey. I was trying to figure out the restream.
You got it, bro. You're good to go. It's there. It's all there. This is us in 2025. We are now restreaming, and it's always good to see what's going on. We had breaking news that happened in the previous half hour. Philadelphia has a new head coach, and it is Bradley Carnell, who is the new head coach for Philadelphia Union. Jim Curtin, obviously, they had the disagreement of disagreements, Ernst Tanner, Jim Curtin et al. And so now Bradley Carnell, who was let go by all caps, St. Louis City SC, is now the new head coach in Philly. Now that it's 38 minutes old, what do you think?
I think it makes sense. This was long time rumored. It is a move that when I first heard of it, I thought it fit. I thought that if you were, there was two ways that Philadelphia could have gone. They could have gone with the academy guy, the guy that knows the culture, the guy that was going to do same as it's been, the guy that was going to continue to play with that developmental component that has made Philadelphia the club that they are, or they could have gone with someone else, a coach that had been proven, that had been successful doing a lot with a little, that has a very high pressure style that could maybe change a little bit of what the Philadelphia Union have been over the last 10 years, decade. And so I didn't think it was a bad move. If anything, the Philadelphia Union have showed us that they are not willing to get out there and break the checkbook and get the big splash signings. So why not bring a guy like Cornell that with San Luis City was so successful, creating a system, providing that component of it's not about the individual play, it's about the collective, taking the league by storm. When he first got into the league, someone that is very well regarded in Europe as well, that knows and understands the network and can maybe even do a little bit of recruiting for you. I think that it makes sense for Philadelphia Union. I think he's going to be successful there.
Well,
is he going to be as successful as his last head coach in Curtains? I'm not really sure about that. I think that's some big shoes to fill because of everything that Curtin did for the Philadelphia Union. But I think it fits.
When you look at what happened in St. Louis with Bradley Carnell, you know, I've the analogy that I gave is that St. Louis was like the rookie that got the call up from AAA. Literally, you know, the Rainiers made the call up, and it's this pitcher that's lights out in AAA comes up for his first start there, and in little Soto Mojo going. He goes for his first start. He goes 6+, maybe gives up an earned run, and the league is like, "Wow, okay, this guy's great." But he goes through the league first time. You know, he's doing okay. You know, he's maybe 5-2, an ERA of 2.5. But the second time through the league, everybody's got a book on him, and he gets dinged around a little bit. And I thought that that's what happened to him in St. Louis. And St. Louis pulled the trigger on Carnell, and they're just like, "Nope, you're out the door." And you see what's going on in St. Louis right now. I think that St. Louis pulled the trigger too quick, and they weren't patient with Carnell in year number 2, and you see what happened.
Yeah, I would agree because I mean there was a fluctuation of injuries, of change of personnel, of players that St. Louis itself didn't really replace. Again, when you have a guy that has a specific system and certain guys are taken away from that system, it creates an issue. Now, does that happen to him? I think it's lesson learned in St. Louis, and he needs to be a lot more assertive than perhaps he was on that second season with St. Louis. There was also some reporting about some maybe issues with certain players. So, can you learn from that? Definitely. I just think that there is a foundation and a intellectual strategic component from Cornell that I think can definitely be useful in Philadelphia. But to your point, what does happen when things get a little bit harder and when you start getting some losses and when there's a book out on you and you got to start deviating from that specific way you were winning games, that remains to be seen. But in terms of Cornell, as of what I've seen from afar, because I'm not going to say that I was, I think I was part of a couple of his press conferences, but that was about it.
Yeah.
I think that he makes sense. And I think that he fits, but it's going to be one that Philadelphia, if they hired him, I really do hope that they are willing to give him at least 3 years to figure out his system, how to implement it, how to bring it in. It's just not going to be a magic wand. Philadelphia is going to be top of the East. I don't think that's going to happen specifically with that roster. So it's going to take some time.
Well, and at the same time, it's a situation where St. Louis and Luch Pfannenstiel and that front office, they didn't break the bank. Let's put it that way. They were like, okay, I've got a dude. I know what the system that I want. Here's the system, and here's a guy that I know I can get when I can bring these guys in. In Philadelphia, Carnell's going to be under the same kind of constraints. It's like, okay, bruh, here's what you got, and we're not breaking the bank. We might drop 7 figures occasionally on a guy, like a Michael Ua or what have you. But this is not going to be something where Bradley Carnell is going to walk in the door and Tanner and Sugarman and the ownership group are going to sit there and go, you know what? We're going to go over to the Federal Reserve and we're just going to crack it open. And here you go. This is going to be, again, it's going to be for Carnell round 2 of football on a budget.
Yeah. And you got to add the part of Carnell coming into a situation where maybe can figure out how good he can develop certain players, because that's what the Philadelphia Union does. So how much time goes into going over their academies, their second team? What are the young guys coming through? How are you going to replace some of the talent that's leaving this year? I mean, all of that is going to be very slow process because of everything you just said. And how do I use this newfound resource from Philadelphia that you didn't have in St. Louis, and now maybe you get to exploit that a little bit. So there's going to be a learning curve, but if all in all, Carnell can find the right guys to fit his system, I think it's going to be at least interesting to watch, interesting to see. I don't know if it's going to be an easy start, because I actually do think that there might be some clashing ideologies with the way he ran his team in St. Louis, unless he's going to come in and just change it up on us. And he has decided to move completely away from what he did with St. Louis and, provide us with a brand new playbook. But that's going to be the part where there's going to be a learning curve, and there's going to be a lot of static. It's going to take some calibrating, and it's not going to be smooth.
So then let me ask it this way. Carnell came from the Red Bulls way. He was in the Red Bull system. Pfannenstiel dug it, brought him into St. Louis. And so it was kind of like Red Bullsian light, maybe. Well, it was, maybe like a B+ or a, B- Red Bulls playing in St. Louis. How do you think Red Bulls light integrates with what we saw in Philly with that personnel, with what Jim Curtin did, knowing that you do have young guys coming up through the system, with Union 2, et cetera. You've got a lot of the young guys, and you have a front office that basically had a situation in the draft where they're like, it's like the girl, when you're in high school. I'm just not that much into you, and so you break up with her. The Union broke up with the draft, called Colorado, and was like, "Are you interested? Do you like this girl?" And Colorado's like, "Yeah, we kind of do." Well, okay, what's it worth? Tell you what, just go ahead. You can start dating her. Everything's fine. You traded 8 picks in 3 years to Colorado. That's it. You're done with the draft for 3 years. You are either confident that your academy is going to get you through this, or you've lost your blanking mind, or both.
Yeah.
And you're confident that Union 2 is going to help you through this, because in free agency, how do you think, with all of the old dudes leaving or still hanging around, maybe running it back a year longer than they should have, how do you see this blending with the guys that are there, Red Bulls light, Carnell, no draft picks, and an academy? How are you blending all of this information together?
Yeah, no, that part is where the static is going to come from, right? Because good luck trying to get Gosdog and Ura to provide you a top pressing style where whenever the teams are coming out of the back, they're going to be your first defenders and they're going to press and they're going to be all over the pitch, because that's not their game, right? Even though they might not be old, but that's just not their style. Gazdag is not the guy that you're going to be thinking immediately he's going to be defensively sound. Your midfield's a little bit old. You have lost some components in the back. So I don't think you're going to see a Red Bulls system right off the bat, because you're going to need to get a new personnel for it. But at the end of the day, that's when I think he's going to be obligated to switch up a little bit of the playbook. And maybe you're high press, but maybe you don't do it all the time, and you are very precise, and you take in consideration maybe at times playing in a mid block. I think that there's going to be some diversions of what he did with San Luis because of what you just said. When you look at this roster and you think, is this a Red Bull styles system roster? I mean, no, absolutely not. There's some good players that maybe I think Jesus Bueno could do a lot of Red Bullish things in the midfield. I think that, here and there you might be able to find something that's going to fit what that Red Bull system is. But I don't think that's what Cornell is going to immediately come in and do because of everything you just mentioned. And what we said to start off this whole news breaking, it's going to be interesting how a guy like Cornell is going to have to use a huge resource he hasn't had before in an academy, but that is never a proven, sure, sustainable thing if you don't understand it. And yes, there are guys that are going to walk him through it, and they're going to be able to say, hey, these are the guys that we've been watching. And that's no problem. That's anyone can walk in and get that information given. But there is that sense of, can you develop them? Can you get them bought in? Which is what you did in San Luis. This is the whole new club. This is a club that has an identity, a system, a curriculum that you're not going to be able to just come in and just it's blank. It's a blank canvas, and I'm going to put together my system. I remember Ezra Hendrickson, when he was with Chicago and he ultimately failed there, he said something that I'll always remember. He said it's a lot harder to get to a club, put a wrecking ball through everything that the team understands, knows, concepts, and rebuild it, than come into a club that is an empty canvas and you can just go ahead and put it together. So that's going to be the challenges that Cornell's going to face there in Philadelphia.
Okay, now next piece of news is twofold, and it's stuff that you have been very, very busy keeping an eye on. I want to go a step at a time. New Year's Eve, you were told that the Albert Rusnak contract over the line, signed and waiting to be announced. You didn't have numbers New Year's Eve. Expected to be a multi-year DP contract for the club's 2024 MVP. Has there been any update now that we have turned the calendar to 2025?
No, not yet. I expect it to be a 2-1, 2-year, one option. It is going to be a DP deal with a bigger salary than last year. He's going to get a bump in pay. In many ways, there are going to be some factors and some of those compensations that would have to hit for certain numbers to get even bigger. But at the end of the day, we knew this was going to happen, and it should surprise no one that the Seattle Sounders, understanding their situation, they were not going to just, and we kind of mentioned this here, they were not going to let him walk too far out the dealership. They were not going to allow him to just get too far away. I mean, they were going to call his bluff. They're going to say, hey, this is the money we have. But the reason why Albert had the leverage is because he understands that it takes a lot more money to pay a Cam, a guy that's going to come into Seattle and be another designated player, between the transfer fee that it would take for you to come and get him, plus his salary, plus the unknown factor of whether a new creative midfielder is going to come in and fit and not have to go through the adaptation of MLS. So he had the leverage, and that's what you end up paying him. I understand why people get frustrated with it. I've heard a lot of people that do not like Albert Rusnak being brought back as a DP because he's not the shiny new object. And he really isn't a player that, in my opinion, can be compared with Lorero. And I get that, right? They're two different players. I see Albert Rusnak more as a game manager, as a guy that's going to be your safe move in that position. But is he ultimately pushing your ceiling extremely high? He's not. But because of everything that Seattle has to play for in 2025, it makes sense to just keep continuity to a guy that had 30 goal contributions, that has the respect of the locker room, that might not be a game breaker, but he is a game amplifier. When you know that you're getting other pieces like Ferreira, like hopefully a Jordan Morris that's going to be at a better level than he was this year, or a sustainable level as he was this year. So that's where you keep Albert Rusnak. Is it sexy? Absolutely not. Is it safe? Yes. Are you guys allowed to be frustrated with the fact that that's the big news for the Seattle Sounders, is re-signing a guy like Albert Rusnak? That's your prerogative. But at the end of the day, to me, it's a smart move. And today, and I think we'll touch on it obviously here in a couple of minutes, with Ferreira and potentially Arriola, Seattle's better today than they were at the end of 2024.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how better they are, which got me to stage 2 of this conversation. And it has to do with, and by the way, Rusnak last year made complete compensation just a little over 2.2. Same for Jesus Ferreira. But right now, agreement, according to folks, Jesus Ferreira to Seattle in exchange for $2 million in Garber bucks, an international roster spot, and Leo Chu. Leo Chu last season, his salary on the books, I think, was $550 according to MLS Players. So and once again, agreeing to a new contract, obviously key to this, that Ferreira would agree to a new deal in Seattle, and it's pending approval and paperwork according to Tom Bogert. How does this make Seattle better? We'll get to adding Arriola, down the line here as topic section 3. I feel like it's a 5-paragraph essay that we're dealing with here. But how does this make Seattle better, losing a Leo Chu, sending Leo Chu to Dallas, bringing in a Jesus Ferreira, and having Rusnak coming in over the line and possibly adding a Paul Arriola?
There are many ways, and it's not necessarily easy to understand if you're not very familiar with the intricacies of what's going on in Seattle, right? So let me start by saying that Leo Chu, unfortunately for Seattle, he was checked out. He was not going to be able to get back from the basement that he was put on at the end of 2024. I asked Brian Smetzer directly, how do you get back a guy like Leo Chu that you didn't just relegate to the bench, but you relegated him to the stands for the end of the season? And, he mentioned, there's things, I have high hopes, all these things. The very political type of answer that you would expect from, any head coach not trying to, shake the boat a little bit. But the reality was that his confidence, his desire to play for the club was shot. I'm not going to blame just the situation. I think that Leo Chu did have some inconsistencies in his game. There was a questioning of his effort and his defensive abilities and playing for the system. So when you think about a player that ultimately was a bust for Seattle, your first U22 ever was a bust, and you're able to move him in a deal where and I want to put this into context very well now that I can, because Jeremiah Oshan already let the cat out of the bag in terms of why Jordan Morris is going to be a designated player in 2025. It really limited Seattle's ability, because you're already going to bring back Albert as a DP. You already had Pedro de la Vega as a DP,
Yep.
and now you were in one way or another obligated to bring back Jordan Morris as a DP in 2025. That left you no room to go get any big player. So now, with how you were able to package deal this move for Ferreira by doing the GAM, the international slot, and Leo Chu, now you get a guy that he's the youngest player in league history to get 50 goals, who's 24, who has potential to be a top 10 forward in this league, because he has the potential to do so. He's done it before. So that's where the move goes into, and why is such a good move. How did he make the team better? Because Leo was a non-factor. Leo was a non-factor last year at the end of the day, and I hate to say it, because I like the guy, and I think that there were splashes of really good moments for him in his Seattle career, but it just wasn't consistent. So when you get rid of a guy that was taking a big piece of your salary, you open up a U22 spot, and you get a guy like Ferreira that is versatile, can play right next to Jordan Morris, can play maybe a little bit farther back, can play out wide. You get a lot more options for a team that lack goals. I would like to say Ferreira is a better finisher than Jordan Morris. I mean, maybe that might not be in the evidence of the last 2 years, but whenever Ferreira was in his best moments, completely healthy, he was a guy that could finish. He was a guy that could create. He was a guy that could do a whole lot of things that Seattle did not have last season. So there, you're fixing some of the issues that you had last season. Plus, you're getting rid of a guy that was not going to be anything more than a void in your salary and in your U22 spot. So there's where the adding by subtraction thing goes in the long term. So that's the way that this team is better today than they were before, with this move, with Jesus Ferreira, and with the understanding again that if you don't give this package deal, you're probably not going to get a player close to what Jesus Ferreira is. Because look, I understand that he has not been the Jesus Ferreira of old, but the potential is there. Dallas has been a huge mess for the last 2 years. The Esteves thing fell apart halfway through the season. You had a new head coach. There was a whole bunch of problems in Dallas. So that's why his production went a little bit lower over the last couple of seasons. But at the end of the day, now you're getting a guy that is, and people are going to hate this, but he is a national team player. He's a guy that's young. He's a guy that can do a lot of things. He's a versatile player. So that's why you're better today, and why I rate this move very high, understanding all the context behind why it was done.
And that's why we wanted to have you break it all down in 3 dimensions for us, because of all of the moving parts that were associated with it. Ferreira, full compensation last year, a little over 2.204, $2,204,000. And then Paul Arriola, base salary last year, $1,550,000. Guaranteed compensation, $1,729,400. Where is Arriola in relation to the finish line? Where are we, and how would he fit into what you're thinking Seattle in 2025 is going to look like?
Yeah, so that got interesting, man. Look, it's kind of funny because I took like a week off, or at least 4 days off, really off of everything, and I tried to shut on the engines, although it was hard to do so. But but quite honestly, before I did that, things were in line, everything was working okay. I got a text the day before Tom broke this Leo Chu story, that there were some issues with some of the negotiations with Dallas. And one of them was about Arriola, because there was an agreement between both clubs that Dallas was going to take $1 million of their salary, and that made sense at the time. But as everything in this world, I have the right to change my mind. And Dallas was like, okay, man, this is costing us a lot of money. So there was a point where it almost falls. The move from Arriola to Seattle almost falls apart because Dallas decided that it was a little bit too expensive on their end. Okay. So what I heard, and this is news, I don't think this is out there yet, Seattle and Dallas were able to reconstruct his contract, his deal, so that in one way or another, Dallas was paying less of what they initially thought they were going to have to take from Arriola, but by reconstructing his deal and essentially re-signing a new deal in Dallas before moving to Seattle, that's how they were able to get over the hump. And as far as I know, right now, everything is all good and well. Some minor details are still left to be put together. There's obviously a wait on Paul's signature to put it all through. But as far as I know, all the obstacles have been dealt with. All the I's have been dotted. The only thing that you're waiting for is a signature, league approval, and Arriola should be a Seattle Sounder.
All right. So now that you're back, amongst the living and back amongst the reporting, what's going on with Soccer Bar, Pulso Sports? Who's taking a breath? Who's not taking a breath? And I know that you're back at it. So what's going on?
Yeah, so Soccer Bar will not be going on today. We are still trying to get together for a production meeting for our first show of the year. We have some guys out of the country, of course, so we're going to get together, do that. Tomorrow, I will be doing some announcing on some shows that I'll be putting together for Pulso Sports. I'm going to start doing a open space every Friday from 3 to 4 in a segment that I'm going to call Let It Out Friday. Let It Out Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. here in Pacific Northwest. I'm going to have a segment about the Sounders every single time. I'm going to talk about MLS in general, but it's going to be a space where throughout this hour, fans can interact and they can let out whatever frustration they have about the team, the moves, the ownership, whatever it is that is in people's minds. They're going to be able to let it out. I'm going to hear them out. As long as everybody keeps it PG and nobody gets too crazy, I'm going to continue to do so. Then I'm going to grab that audio. I'm going to put it on Pulso Sports, and I'm going to see how that works out. So that's going to be one of the things that I'll be working tomorrow, is to announce some of those new segments that we'll be putting together. But just excited about what's going to be happening here with the Sounders. Since there is no Soccer Bar, I will let you know the following. For your audience that might not know, the reason why Jordan Morris, is now going to have to be a DP is specifically because there was some goals in his contract that if he was to reach them, was going to put him at a certain number. The number puts him above the DP threshold, and that's why Jordan Morris now is going to be a DP next season. I know people are not going to be thrilled about that, and rightfully so. Sometimes you expect the local guy and your local talent to not take one of those DP spots, but that's going to be interesting. JP, who is signing a deal with the Sounders, a 1 year option for 2026. That's a big move for Seattle. And I want to make this very clear, not only because of the experience and everything that he's brought in, but I've been kind of talking to some folks, and it sounds like there's a potential that Josh Atencio might be working in as a center back maybe this season, just to see how that works out. I expect this team to play a lot of 3-5-2, so it makes sense to maybe have Josh Atencio, who's a midfielder by trade over the last couple of seasons, maybe drop back a line. So those are going to be some of the things that we're going to be able to talk about here in Let It Out Fridays, starting tomorrow. So check that out. Pulso Sports, of course. We're going to be back in business, if I'm not mistaken, at Soccer Bar by next week on Thursday latest. So go ahead and check that out. I really appreciate it. It's great having you back on, John. I missed you. and hopefully your 2025 is as good as 2024 or better. Of course, you got a lot of stuff going on down there in Atlanta. I'm excited for y'all. But thank you for having me, man.
As always, it's great to have you here, my friend, and you are a part of the SDH family, no doubt about it. And it's great to see you here on this side of the 2025 calendar. Be safe, be well, have a great weekend, and we're going to keep an eye on letting it out, and we will let it all out with you. We will see you next week, my friend.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
All right, there's Niko, and so Niko, we're this close to having survived day one of Restream here in 2025. It's crazy. And so, once again, remember really quickly right now, you've got the second half of Old Firm. And we found out something. This was really weird. Apparently, and so this is at the matches at Ibrox. If you have Paramount Plus, you can't see CBS Sports Network on Paramount Plus.
The games that are on CBS Sports Network don't show up in Paramount Plus, and it's really confusing when you have to look for that extra. Wait a minute, where is the game this time? It's annoying. I was like, wait a minute, why did they not pick up this game? Why did they pick up other random games? Why did I watch Motherwell this weekend? And no, it's because you had to watch it on the cable system on CBS Sports Network or however else you get CBS Sports Network.
Oh God! So what's the score of Old Firm right now?
It is 1-0 Rangers at halftime. Celtic is embarrassing themselves, trailing Rangers at the moment because they have pretty much dominated Rangers as of late. Teams are coming back out now for the second half. We'll see what madness happens in the second 45.
Yeah. So it was great to have Niko on to discuss what was going on with Seattle and the closeness of adding a Ferreira, the closeness of adding on an Areola, Leo Chu on his way to Dallas. It was interesting to hear Niko's take on that.
Yeah, definitely. Also Carnell and that whole situation, like that's an interesting one too to me. Like MLS is going to get silly season is going to get really fascinating here with everything happening. This is one of those good times, and we're talking about Old Firm a little bit as well. Like this game's about to go into the second half. Cameron Carter-Vickers in the lineup. He had a good tackle in the first half. Luckily in Glasgow, the weather is not like it is. I think Aberdeen's at home. Let's see if I can pull that up. There you go. That maybe JJ doesn't have the greatest of screens, but
that's yeah, that's crazy.
That is no bueno.
No. That is not good.
No bueno.
Oh, that's just man. I would be like I would either be under the stands having my hot chocolate or just being at home and not being there in the stadium, period, and watching it on television. I would be nowhere close if I was a fan watching that one tonight.
No, not at all. That one is, let's see if we got a score update on that one. I did not have that in front of me. It's 1-1 at halftime, and Aberdeen is hosting at Pittodrie.
Woof. Wow. Oh man, that is and Brendan Rodgers looking like he's got like 9 layers on. He's sitting sitting on the sidelines, not doing a whole lot.
It doesn't look that bad in Glasgow at the moment.
Oh, here comes Rangers.
At Ibrox, let me see what the weather is there. At least it's not snowing or sleeting or whatever. It's 35 degrees.
Oh,
come on.
That's not bad.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not bad. But so we're going to watch the second half of Old Firm, see what happens there, and just the chaos at Ibrox. And just don't ever mention the words Craig White to anybody that was involved with Rangers. So
don't do that.
Tomorrow, figured we'd just turn it into kind of like anybody that wants to drop by can drop by and say hi, considering it's like the first Friday, last Friday kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think also our friends from the Marshall Islands are going to be joining us at 10 o'clock, Matt Webb, and hopefully Lloyd Hours will be dropping by at 10 o'clock just to kind of talk about their 2024, very, very busy, and what they're looking for in 2025. So very, very cool stuff.
We're also working on a couple things for those of you thinking about heading up to Chattanooga for the Atlanta United Chattanooga FC match. We might have a hotel discount if you're thinking about making a weekend of it. Stay tuned on that. And we will have a post-game event and live show location TBA very, very soon.
Very, very cool. All right. So do you want to send us home for a Thursday where we had a lot of Thursday thoughts from a lot of different directions?
Sure. We'll see how this goes. You didn't break anything, which is good. You actually got the guests on, which was also good. You figured out, well, I helped you get your camera situated.
Yes. Here, hit this button and flip your camera so everything's back to the way
you followed instructions pretty well.
That's a first.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes the rest of the week. Back tomorrow morning, espresso around 8 o'clock, 8:30 or so, and then the live show at 9:05. Mucho platico.